this is going to be a wild edible exploration. You will, if you choose, get to touch, taste, and feel a variety of wild plants. You don't have to put anything into your mouth unless you choose to do so. But if you do, you're going to really get to have some fun and exploration. But I want to warn you, please don't put anything into your mouth unless I say, and this is safe to eat, would you like to try some? Because often I'll be holding up a part of the plant that may not be safe to eat, but I want you to be able to see it all. So please refrain from grabbing samples, and I will be handing you things. And at different times, I'll say, everyone try to find a leaf that looks like this. And when you do, I want you to hold it in front of my face, and I will touch your hand and say, yes, that's it. Or I might say, no, that's actually dandelion, or no, that's creepy Charlie, something different. And I'm a picky eater, so I have biases about what tastes good. But I will be showing you some other plants that I have not eaten, but I've heard are pretty tasty. I try to only show you and share with you things that I like a lot and that I cook myself to eat a whole lot. Now, when you're exploring on your own, it's very good to always get permission from wherever you're gathering. If you go to your neighbors and you notice they have some dandelions or violets, is it okay to start picking your neighbor's violets out of their yard? Looking at you. Is it okay?
Say no.
That's right. Very good. Because you always want to get permission wherever you can when it's even questionable that it might be private land. And when you're going up to your neighbor and saying, hey, I noticed you have some dandelion and wood sorrel and these violets. Do you mind if I pick some of those from your yard? Your neighbor would be like, go ahead. But be aware, I did spray that with some Roundup 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So you want to find out the history of spraying in the area. And in the same way, you don't really want to harvest at the edge of a parking lot or a road, because the chemicals that hit the pavement, even the gravel, will often go into the road ditches. These plants will suck that stuff out of the soil and put it into their bodies.
How far from the road do you suggest?
Generally, I look at the drainage and how much traffic it is. So if it's right below the road, I'll generally just leave it alone. Here, when I looked at the drainage, I was being aware of where I can harvest. And I'm also being aware of how much I'm going to take. If I'm only taking one plant, then I'm not so worried about how close I am to the road sometimes, because it's like, oh, it's just a little lad, it's just this one plant. You know, you decide your own fear factor in a way, or your own tolerance, or how risky you want to be. But generally, try to get uphill from anything, because all the roads around here have had a lot of contamination for a long time. Think about how when we were young, there was lead in gasoline, and that just really contaminated a lot of soil. Ooh, isn't that fun to think about? Also, be aware that you really want to know the plant that you're harvesting. Everything I'm going to show you today does not have, none of these will have dangerous lookalikes. You cannot poison yourself at all to die. But if you mess around and really get creative with the things I'm telling you, you could give yourself bad headaches, you could give yourself blisters from your mouth to where stuff comes out, you can give yourself bad diarrhea. So pay attention to not only what I show you, but what parts I'm talking about as well. Isn't that fun? Okay, so I really like to start with one of my favorites, and I had to look long and hard to find this guy, because this one actually shows up in people's yards. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this to each table, and I want you to take a leaf and then pass the plant on to other people in your table. But everyone get a leaf. Do not eat it yet. You guys get that whole two. There you go. All right, and as you get your leaf, I want you to notice the shape of the leaf. Are these leaves round? No. What do they make you think of when you look at the shape of that leaf?
Heart.
Oh, a Valentine heart, yes. Which is why some people call this sweet heart clover. But what you're holding in your hand is wood sorrel. Now, if you're feeling, this is the other caution whenever you're doing wild edible things. make sure the person who is teaching always eats whatever they're talking about. See them put it in their mouth, because there's a lot of things out there we can play jokes with you guys on. Woo! I mean, things to make your mouth go numb, to make it tingle, hot spiciness, just terrible tasting. So make sure you see them eat it. So go ahead and try a taste of your wood sorrel. This is one of my favorites. You should get a little burst of sour. Yes! Oh my gosh. Now, who really liked that? Okay. Oh, I'm going to give you. Then I want you to also look on the leaf for seed pods. These will be little banana-shaped seed pods. Anyone see one? If you do, you go ahead and try it. It's like eating a warhead. And I'm going to give you guys a warhead. So I'm going to get, it's a candy, pretty impressive. Go ahead. I'm going to pass around a little bit more. I want you to try a flower. You can eat the stem. Here you get some more. Yes.
That's a flower, right?
That's a flower bud. That's going to be good too. You want to try a flower? Okay. You can eat the seed head. You can eat the flower. You can eat the flower bud. You can eat the stem. The only part I have not eaten is the roots, but you could probably eat those too. You would think this would be loaded with vitamins because of that sourness, and I'm sure it's high in vitamin C and others. It is not as high in some nutrients as some of the other things I'm going to show you. This is just delicious. I love putting it in salads. There used to be a warning that you could eat too much of it and build up an oxalic acid, but now they're saying, no, just enjoy, eat as much as you like. Though I would say, don't make a salad purely of this and eat that 3 days in a row. That's probably overdoing it a little bit. So, wood sorrel. And we'll be seeing more of that on the hike.
You know they have that sorrel you can find, the pretty flower you find in the woods too. Is that edible as well?
The sorrel you see in the woods?
Yeah.
Yes, there's two types of sorrel. One, which you just ate, that you'll find in your yards. It's out in the open, and it has the yellow flower. Very delicious. And there's a second one you'll find in the woods frequently. In Iowa, it has a purplish flower. Woo! Very, very cool. And that's the one we're going to see along the trail. That one, I think, is extra tart, too. Very, very delicious. And anything named sorrel is generally going to have a wonderful sour flavor to it, too. Okay, now, these ladies love to have me come and talk at this boathouse, but really my favorite place to do a talk is in somebody's weedy yard who has a garden, because I love showing people all the things in their front yard and in their garden that they can eat. Okay, so the one you just had, that's going to be in your yard. This guy is going to be in your yard as well. And I had people tell me again, what is this one? Violets. And you will see these with purple flowers, with white flowers, and we'll be looking for these as we go along. Now, this is one of those plants that is super loaded with nutrients. This guy, in fact, a leaf about this size, if I ate 4 of those leaves, I'd get more vitamin C than if I ate an orange from I Ave. Yeah. I mean, they're loaded with calcium, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, just like, oh. It used to be when the pioneers felt a cold coming on, they would go out, find some violets, start snarfing them down, kind of like we do vitamin C tablets. And they're extremely mild tasting. Now, I only have 4 leaves here. Who would like to taste a little bit of these violets? Okay, we'll give you a little taste. See, we're starting with the young people. Okay. Here you go, ma'am. Yeah.
I guess I will if you got enough.
And I'm heading to the back row here.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are going to be watching for this out in...
Thank you.
You eat them.
My favorite part of my lawn is
Oh,
the
that's excellent. Okay. I still have a little more. Who wants to be brave? Okay, here we go.
You.
Little more, little more, little more. All right, excellent. Okay, what do you think? You haven't tasted yours yet.
You said you had to see you in your mouth.
Thank you. Good job. Woo! That was so good.
Extra star.
Yes, you do. Okay, I don't know about you guys. To me, that's bland. I mean, there's almost no flavor like that, right? Right? I mean, after the wood sorrel, this is like, okay, that's a leaf. Yeah. Which makes these excellent in salads because they'll stay pretty tender all summer long. I don't generally cook these. I always eat them raw. Though my son, who is not a vegetable person, will go out and he will collect 20 of these, chop them up fine, and he puts them in his ramen noodles to really boost the nutrition of his ramen noodles. Yeah, so, and it's because they're tasteless. He agrees. He doesn't taste them. He really, really likes that. Oh. Now, the ones you find in your yard are the common violets. They'll have blue, white flowers on them. When you get into the woods, you'll see some violets with yellow flowers. Now those, you might even notice the texture of the leaf is kind of hairy. If you nibble on those, you're going to see they're bitter. They're not near as good as what's out in your yard. So as we go down this hike, we're going to be seeing some violets. I will be nibbling on them as we go to make sure we're getting the good kind. So every so often you might see me going, oh, and do a little spit, but okay. All right, and now, okay. Yes. So I'm going to actually pass around these pots to each table, and we're going to have to wipe the tables down.
All good.
Okay, go. All right. And I want you guys to all get a good look at this.
We're gonna find out.
Oh, yeah. And it's got kind of a scary name. This plant has several names. One of them is Touch Me Not. And that's like, ooh, touch me not. Whoa. But the reason it's called Touch Me Not is because as it gets older, it will get up this tall. And it'll develop a seed pod that if you go to touch it like this, boom, it'll explode on you if it's a bright sunny day and the pod is dry. If you manage to catch the seed as it pops out and eat it, it tastes like butternut hickories. Very, very tasty nut. Okay, but that's not the best thing about this plant. This plant is also called jewelweed. Oh, it's already pretty wet in here because of how the water will bead up. Oh, can't even make it stay. Do you see how the water is kind of bouncing? Oh.
You said jewel? Yeah.
It's called jewelweed, often because of how, I can't get it. The water beads up and it sparkles. Oh, that one's doing it right. I'm sorry. Okay, and yeah, you got a few jewels on yours. Okay, so jewelweed. But it's also a jewel of a plant. This plant has really strong medicinal properties. If you take a leaf, and you can actually reach out now and grab a leaf, and you'll notice how soft they feel. Yep, go ahead, grab one off of your plants and crush it up. You'll get a little bit of mucus that comes out. And that mucus will actually take away a little bit of pain. And if you spread it on your skin, it can reduce stinging injuries, scratches, hives. It can smell good too. Yeah, to me it smells like jewelweed. But one of the neatest things is it is considered a preventative to poison ivy. That mucus on your skin can become a barrier to poison ivy oil. So I'm really spreading it good right here. And this can help keep poison ivy oil from penetrating into my skin. And if you do get a rash of poison ivy, this can bring you some relief from it as well. It's very nice. And in fact, let's see, I actually don't want to, okay, I'm going to, if you break the stem, you can even get more mucus out. And I'm trying not to hurt these guys too much because you can see they're in pots. You guys get to take one home with you. So I'm going to try and let every household take home a potted jewelweed with you. They can be slightly invasive if you put them in a flower garden because they spread the seeds. They're an annual, but it's kind of a nice problem to have. Also, okay, so it helps you with poison ivy and stinging nettle. How many of you have been stung by stinging nettle? Yeah. So whenever you see this, when you're entering the woods that might have stinging nettle, grab one of these plants, put it in your pocket. It wilts like crazy. But that way, when you get stung, you can immediately start rubbing it on. And it will take away the sting. Unfortunately, the effect of this only lasts like 5 minutes or so, and then you have to reapply. But it's nice to have that help, let me tell you. I'm very grateful to this plant. And you can eat it. However, not raw, okay? Very good not putting it in your mouth. Good job. But you can cook it and steam it. Some people say it tastes like asparagus. My family's opinion this spring was, I've had better stuff. It was pretty tasteless. It wilted down to almost nothing. So we, in general, just keep using it as a medicinal plant. Jewelweed, also known as touch-me-not, but the seed is delicious. It's wonderful to try to catch those guys. Yes!
And the flowers are beloved by hummingbirds.
Yes. It'll be a yellow or orange tubed-shaped flower. Very, very cool. All right, cool. Okay. All right, now, this is another guy. This is sad that this is the only one I have. This is another one that you're going to see in your gardens, and it comes up as a weed. I want you to notice as I bring it around the white powderiness of the little leaves and the arrowhead shapeness, of the leaves. And the underside of the leaves is also kind of powdery. This plant is known as lamb's quarter or goosefoot. In fact, the people who lived here thousands of years ago used to grow this as a commercial in their gardens on purpose, not only to eat the greens, but to eat the seeds. And they developed their strain so well that the seeds of the goosefoot they were growing could get as big as little green peas. And it's a delicious seed. I have had the seeds of some of these wild strains. And, oh, they are tasty. Very, very small, kind of black. Looks a little like chia seed right now. But this is one of the most delicious wild edibles. This is one of my favorites, and I'm going to bring it around. Okay, first, I'm going to take this guy. Okay. All right, who has not gotten to try lamb's quarter before? Who would like to try it? Okay, we're going to give her.
Yeah.
Oh, this is good stuff. And I really love it as a cooked vegetable, especially cooked with eggs. You'll get a flavor a little bit like green beans. I love it in quiche, in omelets, in scrambled eggs. Whenever I do cooking classes for wild edibles, I always make a little bit of lamb's quarter with me with eggs. Yes. Oh, now I have never thought about trying it as pesto because honestly, I would probably do wild garlic mustard whenever I'm wanting to do some pesto. Okay, I still have a few more leaves. This guy's not making it home anyway, so anyone else want to try a little more? You get a big leaf.
If there's that one more.
Okay. Well, here, you graze on that whole thing. I do. This is pretty tasty raw. It's even better cooked. And, oh man, you could just cook it. You could stir fry it. You can steam it. You can braise it. It only needs to cook a little bit till it turns a change in the green color and wilts down a bit. Yes?
Can you mix it with french fries?
No.
Would it taste good with potatoes though?
With potatoes? Oh, yeah. I could see a baked potato with some of this put on top and cook. Good cook idea. Excellent. Yeah. Woo, woo. Yeah. Okay. All right. So lamb's quarter. Okay. And the lamb's quarter, another one of those super nutritious guys. Super high in calcium and iron and the minerals, but also in vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin A, and the vitamin C. So you could really make yourself healthy eating those violets and the lamb's quarter. And these are annuals. These are, in fact, the lamb's quarter is considered a noxious weed in Iowa. People are killing it by the so lots of good things out in your yard. Okay, more good things in your yard. This guy we're gonna see down on our hike, and this is called shepherd's purse. I'm gonna have you press that around as I share shepherd's purse. And as I bring this around, I want you to look at the seed pods. Notice how they're kind of heart-shaped on here. And it's got tiny white flowers. This is in the mustard family, but this guy doesn't get very peppery as it grows. It's in fact cultivated in certain Asian countries where they will eat the entire thing. Yep, heart-shaped white flowers. So on the leaves down here, you can eat them anytime. Those are good, pretty good raw. Good raw, you can cook them, steam them, stir fry them, and this one should, you can eat any of the stems that break easily. So what I do is I bend it intensely and I pull up until I break it, and then I can eat that part. Who would like to try a little shepherd's purse? A little bit there. We're going to give you that stem. We'll give you that. Oh, you got 2 leaves. So can you share that with your neighbor there? Okay, cool. And I'm just now going to start handing out the leaves of shepherd's purse, and we will see more of this on the hike down by the beach. I got real excited because I saw just a row of it growing along the rocks. And this is one of the newest wild edibles that I learned thanks to Samuel Thayer. You are so welcome. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. All right. Yeah, there you go. Yes. Now, isn't that mild? Don't you love it? Okay.
It reminds me a little bit of arugula. Yes.
Arugula. Now, I think arugula is a little bit, isn't that the bitter lettuce? Okay. I do not like bitterness. Okay, I'm checking on the bitter level here. Okay, who wants to try a little flower stalk too? Yeah. So when I was young, I learned shepherd's purse really easily, but I thought you could only, eat the seeds. And so anytime I heard people talking about shepherd's purse as being edible, I was like, well, yeah, you can eat the seed. But I didn't know the leaves, the stems, the stalk, and apparently even the root is edible too. Though I would definitely cook the root, but yeah. Okay. And then there's this one, pennycress, pennycress. And you can think of it as it looks like it's trying to grow pennies. That seed is really big and penny-like. Okay, all right. Now this one, okay, better watch me eat this guy. This one can get a little spicy. I'm still eating. Yeah. Oh, do you remember this one? Have you tried that?
No, but you're just funny.
Oh! Oh! I would say no. Let's not eat this one. Oh. No, it is not spicy. It's just got bitter overtones right now. So the fun thing when you're eating, okay, now I'm getting a little spice, is you will often get hot. You know how mustard is hot? So mustard seeds are hot. You can get that hot flavor from eating mustards, especially the seeds. And the one I just ate, it was mostly bitter. Does anyone want to try it anyway? I know. I warn people that things don't taste good, and they're like, oh, but I want to see it. It's like giving people dandelion stems. Anyone else? Oh, you crazy people.
Thank you.
Oh, and I would strongly advise have a good water available. Yeah! I mean, it's pretty bad, isn't it? I was like, so I hope this builds your confidence. I will tell you if something tastes bad. And now you're learning, yes, it's bad. It's like, woo, okay. But I do like learning about mustards and things like that. Okay. It is in the mustard family. Anytime you're seeing a seed head, I'm trying to use a botanist term. It helps you know that that's in the mustard family. And basically everything in the mustard family you can eat. But things taste different. There's different palatabilities. Okay. And then there's this one. Now, this is one I like to actually have people get to see themselves. And yes, how many of you recognize this from your, yes, that's right, plantain. Yes, can I bring that? Okay, and now I'm gonna grab back somebody's big leaf. I'm gonna grab yours. Okay, cool. Now, we're gonna find our own out there. when hopefully the rain's going to let up a little bit, but this is the one I call food, fun, and medicine. And grandparents, you want to know this one when you're camping with the kids. All right, so first, the fun part. You notice that some of these have big old veins coming down from their leaf. Well, you want to grab that vein and kind of pull it, and you can get a long, thin cord like that you can then... It's kind of like a banjo string. And you can actually, very easily, you can play. Oh, hold still, hold still. Can you hear it? You can play Mary had a little lamb. And if your kids are really bored, they can get so good, they can play, oh, Susanna, don't you cry for it. Because you can change the tone by making it tighter. Okay, so that's the fun part.
What'd you say that it is, though?
This is plantain, and you will find it in your yards. It's very, very prevalent. In fact, I found a seed company was selling plantain seeds in a forage mix for grazing. Yeah, question?
Isn't plantain good for healing too?
Yes, it is, and that's the next part. Yes, the medicine. So when you have plantain, you can crush it up in your hands and try to get a juice out. Now, unlike the jewelweed, it is really, really hard to get any juice to come out of here. But any juice you get out is going to be able to kill germs, it will take away pain, and it will promote the healing of your cells. So any injury you have on your skin, you can put this on there and it will help you out. And what's really cool is you can make yourself a Band-Aid because you can can I borrow someone's finger? Yes, thank you. So you put this on the injury and then you wrap it with another part of the plantain and you can tie it like this. And it will help things out. And because it's astringent, it actually helps the blood vessels close off and it will stop bleeding. And the germ-killing part will actually help fight infection. In fact, there's a naturalist up in a different county who had a horrible injury with an axe involving his thigh. And he was out, and he didn't have a first aid kit with him, so he grabbed huge quantities of plantain, crushed it up, packed it around the wound, got to the hospital. And before he went in, he kind of cleaned out that, because doctor's like, what the heck did you do, with the leaves, okay. So then the doctor started pouring peroxide on the wound for cleaning it out. And he was pouring it, and the peroxide wasn't bubbling. And the doctor asked, well, what did you treat your wound with? Because it's already pretty clean. And he said, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, yeah. But I don't know if he told the doctor. But anyway, it will kill germs. However, the hard part is getting that juice out. So what I tell people to do if you're in a first aid situation is you grab some plantain, you put it in your mouth, chew, 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 and then spit it out. Now your mouth is nice and clean, and it tastes like plantain. Then you grab another wad of plantain, chew, 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 and then this wad you put on your injury and hold it there. Because that's pretty cool. And that leads into the last food, fun, and medicine. You can eat plantain. Now, these plantains came from this county, so they may taste okay. In my county, they do not taste good. Not at all.
Because of soil types or why?
I do not know. It might be a variation in genetics in that area. Okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, so when we're out there, we're going to actually, and you can taste these. I did wash these up really well. I could take a little taste. I sometimes get like mushroom, Swiss chard. Little bit of overtones of Swiss chard on it for me. But yeah, you have good plantain in this county. That's nice. Okay. I can also say where this naturalist told his story, his plantain tasted good up there too. It was very impressive. And there are different types of plantain. You just saw the broadleaf. This is narrow-leafed plantain. You can see it's distinctly narrower, but it is still got all the same good properties. And once more, how many of you have ever gotten to use Metamucil? Okay. They actually have an active ingredient in Metamucil that comes from the seeds of plantain, used as a laxative and to help make things flow better. Yes, okay, cool.
So you have to be careful how much that you eat?
Well, on the seed head, yes, but on the leaves themselves, not a problem. But when you're eating plantain, if you feel so moved, and I don't necessarily think it's all that great, you have to be aware that those fibers that we were playing the banjo string with, those are pretty tough to chew. So some people will actually pull all the fibers to eat the plantain, and personally, there's a lot of better things out there to eat. So I save the plantain for first aid and for fun. We're under some maple trees. So you'll find some little maple seeds. Now about 20 years ago, I tried eating these and I thought they were really bitter, but I was eating them raw. And apparently the trick, Mike Cribble says in his book, I have not tried this yet, is you toast them with sometimes a little bit of spice. And they're a bit like eating pumpkin seeds, okay? So you got a lot of whole, but a little bit of spice, a little bit of roasting. I'm really eager to try these. These are too green. These came down too early. You do want to get the nice yellow ones that are fully ripe, and you see them doing the helicopter thing down. So I'm eager to try that out. Now this guy's really dirty, so I'm not going to try and clean this up. But does anyone recognize this low-growing plant here? This one does not stick to you. You're thinking of cleavers? That was a good guess. This one, not sticky at all. In fact, if I rub it gently on your sleeve, you notice no clinging at all. This is chickweed. And chickweed is extremely abundant early in the year. And it tastes like corn silk. How many of you have ever shucked corn? You know, pulling off, okay. Have you ever incidentally eaten corn silk?
Not on purpose.
Okay, but you know what it tastes like, right? Chickweed, chickweed, chickweed. I have started eating a lot of this in the spring because it's so abundant. I will stir the whole plant. I'll take it from here on, even when there's flowers on it. It's a very delicate guy. It will wilt down a lot, but you can get huge quantities of this really, really easily. I use it a lot, and it's got opposite leaves, kind of pointed, white flowers. I'm going to see if I can do one of my identifying things. There's a bug. Go, go. Okay. If you pull on the stem, didn't do it there, you often get a little inner part. There we go. Can you see that inner part there? It's like an IV or something. The wire inside an IV tube. You see that there? That is one of the ways that I help identify chickweed. It's like, well, that's kind of hard. So you're going to see a lot of this along the trail? Yes. And I heard someone say onions. Another guess? That's right. This is wild garlic. Oh, and it's fun, yes. So it grows like crazy here in Van Buren County and Henry County. I've been amazed. Now, with wild onions, wild ramps, wild garlic, everything in the onion family, you do need a caution. Before you ingest very much of it, you need to smell it. So make sure you're getting a garlic or onion smell. So what I'm going to do, I want you guys to grab either the stem or a leaf from me and go ahead and crush it up and sniff it. You can even go ahead and taste it. I can tell you it's pretty hot. It's hot garlic. Yeah.
How about the leaves?
You can do the leaves, you can do the flower stalk, you can do all parts of this. Is a woodland wildflower called toothwort. Toothwort. Tooth, like your teeth? Wort. Yes. And some people look at it and they think, oh, that's marijuana. But no. This is toothwort. And it's called toothwort because the pioneers used to dig up the tubers underneath of here and dry them. And as they dried, they shrunk and they looked like, I'm sorry, I just find that really cool. And they taste like horseradish. You can even get a little bit of that horseradish flavor from eating the leaves. The green leaf is going to be the more flavorful. As it turns yellow like this, a lot of the energy of the plant goes down into the roots. So that's part of the reason we're not getting as much. Okay, the stems have more flavor. I want you to notice this bush. This is an invasive species. It's called Russian olive or autumn olive. And one of the identifying characteristics this time of year is this silvery looking underside of it. And right now, it doesn't have anything you can eat, but I want you to remember this is here and to watch for this plant during the summer. Because this fall, it'll have bright orangish berries with little gold flecks in it. And Russian olive is a very, very tart berry that is very delicious to eat. And you eat all you want. In fact, people make a commercial jam out of it, and what they do is they will just break off the entire branch and beat it on a tarp and then throw away the branch because they're trying to get rid of this plant because it's so invasive. There's so much of it. But the berries are good to eat. So there are people who are set up to remove it from a field, but they'll harvest the berries as they're doing it. So they get 2 profit margins that way. One for clearing and the other for the berries they harvest. And let me tell you, it's good stuff. I've had their free samples many times. It's called Russian olive or autumn olive because it comes in the fall. Gold flecks on the bright berries. Somebody was asking when we were looking at the chickweed if it was that sticky plant. This is a sticky plant. Now we're wearing, oh my God, look at that. It can even stick to an umbrella. It is called Cleavers or Friendly Henry by Naturalists. Let's see if it'll stick to plastic. Okay, it can kind of resist plastic. Let me hand this to you. Just give a feel to it. It grows like crazy. This is a wild edible. This is one I have not eaten because I really don't have much preference to try it, but you have to cook it first. The seeds are supposed to be, it's related to coffee plants, so you can actually use the seeds to make a coffee. And in the old days, or if you're a vegan, you can use this plant to make cheese because it will curdle milk like rennet. Shepherd's purse. We have a little tiny shepherd's purse here. It's like, yay! I'm sorry, I get excited because once it's flowering, I can spot it all over. But before it's flowering, I have the worst time spotting that leaf, which looks a lot like dandelion, which is why I don't get to eat it at its best stage. I have to wait till it flowers and makes those little heart-shaped seeds. Does anyone recognize this plant? Milkweed is right, and common milkweed is very safe for people to eat. In fact, it is a delicious plant. I gotta wash my hand again. Yule Gibbons accidentally maybe ate dogbane, thinking it was milkweed, and dogbane looks a lot like milkweed, but it's extremely bitter. Whereas this stuff is not bitter at all. And he would tell you that you have to boil the bejeebers out of it to get a good vegetable to eat. This has got a little bit of the milk latex on it. Who would like to try a little bit of milkweed? Yeah. All right. And you'll find out why the monarch caterpillars like it so much. It's very, very tasty. When it first comes up, you can eat this whole tender shoot. Like this. Very, very tender. Want to try some of that? There you go. And what's really neat is you can try the flower buds. When they first show up and they're green, you can eat them like broccoli, but they taste better than broccoli. My husband doesn't like broccoli anymore. I fed him too much. But he still likes milkweed flower buds. And when they turn purple and they're perfumey, you can eat those too. And they're sweet with nectar and they're fragrant. They're so good. And then when it makes the little seed pods, when they're still green and tender, you can eat those. And if you get the seed pods when they're a little too big and you open them and there's white sappy stuff inside, that's going to be the fluff, If the seeds have not turned brown, you can then take the whole seed pod, boil it, and when you open it up, salt that little whitey stuff and pull on it, and it acts like mozzarella cheese. And you can fool some people with it. It's like really good, but it does require salt, I will tell you that. I plant this in my garden for me to eat, and then the caterpillars get to enjoy it too. So. Oh, yes. Okay, so what I did just there is I reached towards the center and the base of the cattail, and I pulled up, and you can see it just popped out like that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start peeling, because I'm throwing away the part that got dirty. Ooh, and I'm already at the tender stuff. And that's what I'm after, right there. That is super, super, thank you. Yes, it's pretty good. So I'm gonna, who would like to try a little bit?
I think she would, little girl.
Would you like to try a little bit? This is called Keosauqua asparagus for some people. Very, very tender. And now as I get to a little bit of toughness, I'm going to try peeling a little bit more away. Oh, okay, we're done. Well, we get another one. Okay.
Boots on.
Well, the nice thing about cattails is you can eat, thank you, so many parts of them. There are rhizomes just under the surface of the, thank you. Actually, notice how
Nothing there.
that can happen.
You gotta pull the plant.
You grab it at the base and you pull straight up. Reaching down near the base, there you go. Pull, pull, there you go. That looked good, yes. All right, and so you can see it's kind of mucky, and gosh only knows what has been pooping in the water. So you want to gently peel, and the first peel will take away things on that side. And then we go to the other side and peel, peel, peel. So now we got that clean base. Did you get to taste it?
I did, it's
okay,
very good.
cool.
Really good. You just eat it raw, you don't have to cook it, right?
That is right. You can cook it, but it's very tender and tasty raw as well too. Very nice. All right, well this actually kind of wraps up the wild edible hike. I want to thank you all for making this track an adventure into the wet and the wild.